Hello guys, I'm going to be showing you my president's cards. All my president's cards I have. And these binders these binders here. These binders here. This is a James Monroe card. This is James Monroe card. It says James Monroe, President, born April 28, 1758. Monroe Hall, Virginia, died July 4, 1831. Monroe, who served as the president during a time the United States was expanded in 1825, may be best remembered for the Monroe outlined in his State of the Union address in 1823. The Monroe then declared that any invitation by European powers in the Americas would be considered an act of hostility to the United States, the end in European colonization in the Western Hemisphere. This is a picture of when the Declaration of Independence was signed. On the back it says, the United States is existent today because of the virtual document signed on July 4th, 1776, known as Declaration of Independence. It gave the original 13 colonies independence from Great Britain, and the main author of the document was former President Thomas Jefferson. In a tribute to the singing, the U.S. celebrates July 4th as Independence Day. This is a picture of John F. Kennedy. He was a 35th president, assassinated in 1963. Dallas, Texas, at Dealey Plaza, assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald. I also have a different celebrity in here, but he wasn't. I have a singer card in this red binder right here. This is Willie Nelson. There are legends, and then there's Willie Nelson. In every sense, Nelson has done it all. Acting, writing, of course, singing. His music has won countless awards, including Grammys and Classic on the Road Again. It's nominated for the Academy Award in 1981. It says on the back of the card. This is also another picture of Willie Nelson. This is Millard Fillmore's wife. On the back of the card it says, a teacher who loved music and met her husband Millard when he was her student. Abigail became the first lady to have held a job after marriage. She brought her passion into the White House, into the former vibrant music room, and free penny pianos. This is Nancy Reagan, Ronald Reagan's second wife. On the back of the card it says, a New York and native who met Ronald Reagan while working as a Hollywood actress. Nancy used her White House stage to invent for several causes, but known as was her Just Say No, Guns and Against Drugs. She later paid for Alzheimer's research. This is a Betty Ford stamp. President Gerald Ford's wife. And she died the year I was born. Probably months before I was born. This is Zachary Taylor's wife, Margaret Taylor. Margaret was genuine fashion, well versed in the civilized typical required of the 19th century first lady, dedicated to her daughter Betty. However, her and family and close friends in a quiet sin room. Probably won't show all of them today, but let's see. This is Andrew Johnson's wife. Inflatable during the start of the U.S. Reconstruction period, following the Civil War during husband Andrew's impeachment trial. As ensured that the White House still showed agenda go on, erupted humbly and graceful. She ensured that it did. This is Ulysses Grant's wife. This is Jimmy Carter's wife, Rosalind. They both grew up in Georgia. They both grew up in Georgia. They both grew up in Georgia. And then they married in 1946, July 7, 1946. And they were married for 77 years. They had the longest marriage in presidential history. They had known each other since Jimmy was 3 and since Rosalind was born. Rosalind had died on November 19, 2023, and a year later, Jimmy Carter died on December 29, 2024. Some people may say 13 months later. This is Lyndon B. Johnson's wife, Lady Bird Johnson. This is Mamie Eisenhower, Dwight Eisenhower's wife. This is Harry Truman's wife, Bess Truman. She also grew up in Missouri, and she had grown up in that house. She also lived in with husband Harry Truman. And it was built by her grandfather, I believe. It was built by her grandfather in 1867, I think. This is Herbert Hoover's wife, Will Hoover. This is Warren G. Harding's wife. Called the dishes by her husband. Warren's worked campaign and just a thing when it came to Austin White House events. He traveled often with the president and was with him when he died suddenly in California in 1923. This is William McKinley's wife. The back card says her out and been demanded years before she came persuading 1997. What? 1897, but I hope the nation rush in a new century. Welcome to White House to guests from a boo and chair where President William Hinckley by her side as Lemonade. This is Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton's wife. This is Rutherford B. Hayes' wife. This is James Madison's wife. This is Ronald Reagan. At the time he was the oldest president elected to office at 69. Also survived an assassination attempt which was shot in 1981, which 2 terms the nation. This is John Tyler's second wife, Julia Taylor. John Tyler became the first president to marry in office when he took Julia, 30 years old, his junior as his bride in 1844. First lady brought forward entertaining back to the White House. Jess Gregory was a politician campaign for her husband. I'm just going to show. This is William Henry Harrison's wife, Anne Harrison. When William Henry died in 1841, after 1 month in office, Anna became the international first lady. A wounded while in the White House. Contribution to politics is not free, however, as her grandson Benjamin Harrison became the 23rd president. Why does it say 1941 in back of the card instead of 1841? Because it happened in 1841, not 1941. That did not happen in 1941. It happened in 1841. This is Jacqueline Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's wife. Jacqueline Kennedy, arsonist. First lady, only 31 when she became the first lady. As the wife of President John F. Kennedy, Miss Kennedy was admired worldwide for her fashion, elegance, courage. As first lady, she took upon herself to restore the White House and gave the nation a Gibson, a presidential home TV. This is Herbert Hoover. He was the president when the Great Depression started. While Hoover couldn't be blamed for the Great Depression, the crash took place just months into his term. The president, born west of the Mississippi River, Hoover's life was dedicated to public service, and his imitation efforts before and after taking office near Ukraine, Hoover also cheered interdimensional communities after leaving office. This is Martin Van Buren. On the back it says Martin Van Buren, President of the United States. At 5'6", Martin Van Buren was the second shortest president, behind only John Adams, after serving Secretary of State and Vice President Andrew Jackson. Warrior from New York was elected the president. The little American once said that the two happiest days of his life were his inauguration and the day he left. He was the first president to be born to be a U.S. citizen, a couple years after the Declaration of Independence. Alright guys, I'm going to show you the rest of my cards a different day. I'm going to show you all my other cards a different day.